here at the Open Mobile Summit and pleased to be joined by Abhi Ingle. He's the head of innovation at AT&T. And Abhi, thanks so much for joining us.
Most welcome.
So, in a nutshell, can you briefly tell us what your role is? You're the head of innovation, so clearly that's a lot of things for AT&T, but in general, what are you overseeing?
So the goal is to make AT&T more nimble, so faster, quicker in coming out with new products and services that we can actually take to market, or ways in which we can improve our internal operations and the customer experience. That's in a nutshell.
Well, certainly one thing that an innovation initiative that you've led is called the Foundry. You know, basically you're sourcing and enabling, as you put it, talent. So you're basically working with others, not in a VC or any kind of funding manner, but tell us a little bit more about what you're doing at the Foundry that has led your rivals to join in as well now with these sort of similar ideas.
I think what we've done is acknowledged explicitly that innovation today is coming from many different areas. It's not just within AT&T. And you can take two ways to attack it. You can either bury your head in the sand, okay, or you can actually embrace it and enable this ecosystem. So what we've done is, with the Foundry, created an open collaborative space where startup engineers can come work side by side with our engineers to create new experiences that we can take to market.
And that's an important distinction. You've got engineers coming in.
That's right.
So they're actually the guys who are making it done. It's not just sitting around discussing ideas, and they're working with AT&T to make it work better on your system or maybe elsewhere as well.
Okay, they can work this in a bunch of different ways. It depends on what they're trying to do. If it's an app and all they need is a better API from AT&T to enhance their app, great, we can do that. They can go to the AT&T Developer Program and use one of the APIs that the Foundry's created. Or if they're looking to use AT&T to co-develop a product that can go to market, that's real co-engineering together, and we can do that as well. So it really depends on what the company is looking for. There are even companies that come in and actually pitch us on making our network better. I'll tell you, there's some audacious companies who actually come in and done that. 20% companies who come in and say, we can run portions of your network better than what you and your incumbent suppliers or all billion-dollar companies can do. And by listening, we've actually succeeded in that dimension.
And so it's clearly an initiative that you're getting behind in a big way. You've opened just recently 2 new foundries,
yes,
right? So what sort of results are you seeing now from your 3 foundries here, and you've got the one in Israel as well?
Yes. We did open 2 new foundries because we were having so much success with this approach, right? We have taken we've talked about 1,500 companies in the last few years. We have sourced dozens of projects, and we have taken over 20 to 30 services to market right now. Either services that are externally facing or services that have include the actual network. And it's been so successful for us that we're applying this to 2 new areas in the company. We opened up a foundry in Atlanta focused on our digital life and connected car areas. Digital life is a home security and automation service.
Right.
That's in 58 markets now and expanding rapidly. It could be more, for all I know at this point. And on connected car, which is obviously bringing connectivity to the vehicle, which is one of the core places you spend time. And then another one in the Plano area, which is focused on the Internet of Things, so physical prototyping. And there's a lot of innovation that's going to happen in that area, so we're super excited about that.
Do you see more foundries opening in other areas?
I don't like to speculate on where we might go before. We have a very robust foundation network right now, so we're more sourcing on getting the most high-value projects through the foundries out, rather than just looking at indiscriminately expanding, right? So we expand when there's a specific thing we want to achieve.
But important also to note that your first foundry, yes, was in the San Francisco Bay Area near Silicon Valley, but you've also moved to other areas of the US and looking in Israel. So you're sort of looking everywhere to bring in new innovation.
Yeah, we source talent. I'll give you an example, right? It is about the ecosystem that's around you. Right, so we in Palo Alto is obviously, I don't need to tell you that it's the center of the digital universe in terms of the kind of ecosystem you find there. But I'll tell you that my foundry in Israel, if I'm looking at solutions in the security space, or if I'm looking at solutions that hit the care or back-end networks, there are very few places actually as good as Israel. So every place has a very specific ecosystem that aids in what the theme of that place is. Right, so I don't think of the foundry as just, because AT&T is here, we're here. No, we are here because the ecosystem is here, and we are trying to do something with that particular ecosystem.
So you're working very close with these companies. You get to know the engineers and perhaps some of the entrepreneurs or the heads of these companies. Do you ever buy them?
If there are situations in which the company makes sense for us to buy it, sure, that is a possibility. But obviously, we don't speculate on that, and we don't start. We've taken warrants in companies that have worked very well with us. Yes. And some of those companies have actually gone bought by some of our suppliers, which has been a win-win for all sides. So yes, that has happened.
So these partnerships are bringing some fruition for the entrepreneurs as well in there. And sort of what trends are you seeing? Have they sort of brought to you new trends that you weren't aware of, or they're maybe helping you see things a little bit differently because they're coming from a different perspective rather than being from in-house?
The answer to that is yes. Yes to both, right? So if we weren't willing to listen, then why are we doing this, right? I want that perspective from outside. And I'll tell you, there's not a day that doesn't go by that I don't learn something new by talking to companies who've got a fresh, different approach to taking on things. We might not even do something with them, but hopefully they gain a little bit from our experience and perspective, and we grow a little bit through talking to them. But there are times when they've actually taken what we're doing and did it better. For example, we worked with an Israeli company called Into, which did self-optimizing networks, and they improved our company's network by reducing the drop call percentage by 10% and congestion by 15%. That's like insanely good. We worked with a small Dallas-based company that took our mHealth platform, a cloud-based open platform we'd created, and allowed us to take that, the company's called Vivify actually now, and they allowed us to take that into the hospital system to allow them to monitor their patients remotely and reduce re-engagement rates, which in the new healthcare law is actually a penalty. So we got substantial proof that we can reduce readmission rates as a result of this solution.
Is there a pretty high barrier for companies? Say if I was starting a company and I wanted to work with AT&T, how do I go about it, and are you pretty selective in who you're choosing?
Yeah, I mean, it has to make sense, okay? So, as I said before, we are not an incubator, we are not an accelerator. We work on things that are mutually beneficial. So it depends on what the company wants. So they just want to source a particular network API from us, the barrier is very low, okay? If they want us to act as a channel for them or develop a solution with them, they got to have a solution that's robust enough for what we want. They need to understand what we're looking for, and we'll educate them on that.
Right.
And then it must scale, because when we take a solution to market, it scales really fast.
Yeah, it's got a pretty big network, right?
It's a very big network with the 100 million plus subscribers, right?
Yeah.
So.
And also, you're also heading up some internal innovations as well. It's not only the outside-in approach here. You're looking beyond the traditional places for this innovation. So talk to that as a little bit about a trend within your company.
So internal to the company, one of the things we've found is in the worlds where there's mobile connected computing everywhere.
Right.
Fast, flat, wireless and wireline networks and cloud infrastructure, innovation happens at a crazy speed. Ideas don't necessarily come from a central source, okay? But if you look at how companies have traditionally done product development, there's a research team and there's a product team. That's been the dominant mode of innovation, and that is a good thing. We have a very strong research team, as you know from our history of Bell Labs, AT&T Labs, so on and so forth. But we think it's more than that. So we've found a way to take a crowdsourced employee ideation portal. Think of the world's largest suggestion box, that's what I call it. We have 125,000 AT&T employees posting ideas, critiquing each other's ideas, voting on their ideas.
This is an intranet
This is an internal intranet or portal that you call, with a system to weigh ideas up and down based on it. And every 3 months, we hold like an American Idol, where the top 10 ideas go in from the most senior people in the company. If you like the idea, we'll fund the idea just like an internal VC.
So how many have you done so far?
So we've funded about $30 to $35 million worth of ideas, and I don't remember exactly how many funded, but we've had about 16 services get to market already through that. So very exciting. Very exciting,
and something I think people would be very excited about also would be, a solution for expanding coverage, bandwidth.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that's something that keeps you up at night, how to squeeze more out of what's out there now. What's the latest in terms of better coverage and more thorough coverage, because everyone's using more and more with mobile devices.
Yeah. So we're actually taking our network, and actually what we're doing, 3 things to it. Right? One, we're densifying it. So that means more small cells to handle the load of what people are doing on us.
Okay.
Right? People are using 10, 50, 100 times more bandwidth than they were, right? And you can't just keep putting in more towers. So we're looking at small cells. In fact, multi-transport small cells, which can do Wi-Fi, cellular, a range of technologies. So
are you building out on existing antennas, or how are you doing existing towers?
Think of these as extensions to existing towers. So these are not existing towers, right? So we are making them more robust by taking them from GPRS, Edge, UMTS to LTE.
Okay.
That's one way to do it. The other one is self-optimizing networks, which is that Israeli company I told you about. There's 100 other things we're doing, but one thing is creating these things called small cells. Think of them as tiny cell towers, very unobtrusive, which can be put into place that towers couldn't go before.
Right.
And there's a lot of technology on interference reduction. How do you actually backhaul them when you don't have a wire going to that place? Ton of innovation happening in that. The last thing I'll say is virtualizing the network. So basically taking what happened in the data center, right? Servers were physical, they went virtual. Storage was physical, it went virtual. Networks are now being instantiated by big boxes. They'll go virtual and software defined so we can move capacity around as we need. So those are the trends that we are working on.
So who it stands to gain by this? I mean, are tower companies looking at maybe a rollout that we haven't seen in a while? We've been hearing that you guys are going to deploy, but since the recession, big companies a little bit more hesitant to lay out capital spending like this.
So
these types of investments.
There are different sets of companies that get enabled. Sure, the incumbent suppliers to us absolutely benefit when AT&T increases the capital spend, and we have. We spend about $20 billion of capital a year. I don't know if they knew that, but it is actually, I think, the largest domestic capital spend of any company, or close to. Obviously,
is that going to continue?
In so much as that we've been guidance on that front, that's what we projected, right? So I'm not making any new capital predictions out here, right? But that's what we've done historically, and that's what we've said we'll do. We've actually increased it more by doing something we call Project VIP, which is exactly what you said, pushing out the network further, making it more robust, densifying it, right? So the companies that are helping feed into that trend are going to benefit, because when you go into new areas, that opens up the space for new suppliers to come to AT&T. So yes, existing suppliers benefit, but if somebody does a virtualized network better, they now have a chance to pitch us, right? So it's a very win-win scenario, because this new investment creates new innovation, creates new jobs, and obviously it helps the economy. So we think we are fundamentally creating a lot of new value to the economy in this place.
All right. Well, Abhi, thanks so much for joining us.
You're most welcome.